Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the last episode of The Broken Test, where I take a completely average CO and put him up against the Broken Bunch, the Busted Few, the Auto Win Buttons, just to see if they can win. So, the very last episode here we have against Sturm. Sturm is an incredibly powerful CO. He's a little less powerful than his Advanced Wars 2 counterpart, but he still has a lot of very interesting utilities to him. Alrighty, so without further ado, I'm just going to jump right into this one. So once again, I'm playing as Andy. No day-to-day abilities. Hyper Repair. His co-power will give you plus 2 HP globally. His superpower will give you 5 HP globally. Plus 1 movement. Small firepower bonus of about 10%. And that's it. That's all. That's all he's got. Sturm, on the other hand, is an incredibly interesting CO. So the first thing that makes Sturm incredibly powerful is the fact that he has a 0 cost for movement completely around the map. So his movement cost overall terrain is reduced to 1, which means that he is not hindered by movement at all. So he can walk through forests, no problem. He can go through, well, I guess forest is really the only one that you really have to worry about. He can go through plains perfectly easily too. One of the more interesting things about him is your normal units that would have tires, so your recons, your rockets, they would get full mobility all over the place. So especially when it comes to recon play in the early game, Sturm can be incredibly effective that way. Now, I'm sure that you all know about Sturm's super and co-power. Now, in Advanced Wars by Web, his co-power will give you a meteor that will strike the highest value targets on the map for 4 damage. His super co-power will do the same, but 8 damage. So brutal. Can be incredibly brutal, especially if you're not expecting it. The only other difference between this Sturm and the Advanced Wars 2 counterpart is this Sturm will receive firepower decrease of 20%, which makes 80%, but he will also increase his defense by 20%, which makes him 80 over 120. So that alone is incredibly powerful, because we all know how powerful defense is when it comes to Advanced Wars. By far way more effective than offense in a lot of ways. And I chose this map in particular, Hell's Gate, because I thought that Sturm, or I thought it would actually showcase a lot of why Sturm is incredibly powerful. So we can see that there's a lot of plains, lots of trees, and they're all placed in kind of, clever locations, so it makes mobility a little bit difficult. But there is a bunch of roads and shoals planted around as well, so average CEOs could actually get that mobility as well. But Sturm's just going to have way more, right? So, let's go ahead and get into it. I also downloaded a brand new replay viewer also. And it just plays automatically for you. So we can see standard infantry builds going all over the place. Sturm's moving in to capture his base over on the eastern front. I am heading towards the middle to capture some properties. And just building infantry so far. I moved my black boat over here, just because I felt like it would be a little bit more effective. Sturm also did the same thing. He's basically copying me with his movements, but you can see right there, his infantry are already going completely over mountains, completely negating all movement costs there, so incredibly powerful. So my thought with this opening recon down here is, for Sturm, of course, fantastic play. You cannot argue that. I thought that my only counter to that would be build a tank early on. but if you remember from my last game, I actually ended up losing for an HQ cap, and I started getting really worried about this recon and infantry getting really close to my lab already. So I did not want that to happen for obvious reasons. So, you know, I'm kind of sweating already. I don't have enough funds to build a tank yet. I moved my infantry over a space, which was not a good move. If anything, I should have just kept it on the city. That way, at least when this recon comes to attack me, I would be able to regain some of my hit points. But because it's a Sturm recon, it can just move right up there and take that 40% shot like no problem. Unfortunate, but you know what happened. And he's not even going for the airport too, which is kind of neat. You know, he knows that he doesn't really need it right away. But day 6 rolls around, we got another recon on the western front now. And I still don't really have too much to counter that. But I'm starting to get nervous, so I plant my infantry right on my lab. I know that his infantry can't actually reach it just yet, but, you know, I'm feeling a bit spooked, to say the least. So, wanted to just take care of that. See, and if I actually left that infantry on the city, I would have been able to take a shot at that recon too, which is unfortunate. So that was just bad placement by me. Once again, all these matches are done live, or at least a fairly live format. I give a little bit of time for leeway, but not too much, right? So I wanted to just get them done. And now we got infantry primed to capture my port also. And this recon is just moving around, taking shots. And see, anybody else's recon by now would probably actually take 1 damage in counterattack from these infantry shots. But since it is a Sturm recon, you know, he's just not taking any damage because he's got all that defense. He's also got a tank now on the eastern front, which is kind of spooky. I tried to take a shot at his recon too, just to do an extra piece of damage, but you know, it didn't work, unfortunately. And the problem with this too is I'm gonna have to save my hyper repair or hyper upgrade for the inevitable meteor strike that happens too. So I won't actually be able to repair as often as I would want to. But the problem with this too is now he's gotten 2 shots on my infantries, which is gonna incredibly slow my capture game down. And with that movement that he had, he's just able to get it right in the middle like no problem. See, 3 shots now too. 4 shots. Ugh. So with those 4 infantry injured right there, completely cripples my cap game. There's like almost nothing that I can do about that now. And I don't think I might be able to take a shot at that full HP one, but the other one, I don't know. So I move my black boat over to stop that infantry from capping my property, just to block it off. We got tanks moving in. Just doing my best to capture as many properties as I can. I mean, mind you, I only have infantry right now, so there's not really too much going on over there on the western front. I do have a tank ready to go, so he's going to have to do something with that recon. Well, I didn't even mention, too, the fact that Sturm's infantry was able to go over that mountain and that river to cap that airport, like, just like that. Whew. Spooky. Yep, interrupting more caps. I finally did a counter damage. Bomb! Took it out. Whole 10%. It's not bad. Things are looking up for Mr. C. Yeah, but we can see he's like no fear at all. He's just moving right up, just like, yeah, you got nothing, bud. And see, he's just taunting me with that infantry movement too. He's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna move it 1 square over here, and what are you gonna do about it? I know you gotta move that black boat onto the port now. Which is true, I do, otherwise he's gonna cap it. And if he caps that port, then he's got a clear shot at my lab from the other way too, which is something that you definitely don't want. Because like the lab is like fairly defended with its terrain, but like in general, if you lose that that side part, it's just like it's not going to be good for you. units can just go in and go right through your back line, especially Sturm, right? Because he can just whip right through there. But day 9 rolls around. I have a ton of infantry and a battlecopter, recon, and a tank on the western front. However, we're gonna see if I can even do anything with that. Because another thing about Sturm is because you have the looming threat of meteor strike, you can't really clump your units up. Now, I know that the co-powers right now are not reading that they're anywhere even close to that, but you know, it's a thought in the back of my mind. Now I have 2 tanks and a recon in the middle taking a shot at my little tank, and I have nothing really to defend it right away. I was hoping he wasn't going to take that shot, but you know, he did. I remember when I was looking at the player profiles for this too, the player that joined Lionheart, he's actually fairly close to my rating in the Global League. So I would say he's at least on par, maybe even a little bit better than me, like statistically. So this actually shows how, when you have balanced play, just how broken a broken CEO can be. Oh yeah. Alright, so I'm forming a wall, and I'm hoping just a slow push over here, because there's no way I'm going to just be able to rush in there, unfortunately. Moving my infantry around just to try to get some repairs, taking out that recon, so at least I don't have a 3 HP or a 2 HP recon just harassing me all day. Now I build a medium tank, because why not, you know? He's got a bunch of little tanks. There's no way that I'm going to win the tank game because of the defense bonus. So I need to do something to counter that. Now, capping that property right there was definitely not something that I should have did. But you know, I'm full of mistakes, so that's just how it goes sometimes, you know? I blame live play. It's always what it is. Tank goes up, takes a shot at mine. That tank is going down, 1 HP. He's interrupted my cap on the comm tower, which is super annoying because, you know, I would like that. It would be good if I could have it. At least then I could somewhat balance the playing field, but no. Nope, can't do it. It's not letting me have it. But my battlecopter's moving in at least. But the spooky thing about that too is he has an anti-air that has complete movement over the entire map, unhindered. So anywhere I put that battlecopter, he's not going to be... He's always going to be threatened by the anti-air. Just always. 100%. Now, I just kind of move my units, spreading them out across the map. Hopefully gonna do something with that. Moving my tank, 3 HP tank back. And I think I'm gonna be, yeah, okay. So I send the medium tank actually over because now I have this huge clump of units over here on the eastern front, which is very spooky and very dangerous because they're all very, very close to the HQ. So I got to get that medium tank in there to stop that. I build a battlecopter over there as well to hopefully deter him from going over there. And see, the problem is he's pushed so much stuff towards my HQ that I can't even really build too much on my strong front technically because I have this looming threat of danger over by my HQ or lab. Yeah, and tanks are moving in, takes my tank out, no problem. And see, yeah, so he's busted through the line. There's not too much that I can do there now. I thought when I was playing this, the only thing that I could possibly do was just like move the medium tank onto the lab, park it there, and then continuously build like air units in mechs to just kind of hopefully clear that area out. But it takes so long to clear out Sturm's units that by the time you finally do, he's got Meteor Strike and everything you just built is dead. So that's a problem. Definitely a problem. So battlecopter moves in, takes a shot at the infantry. Other battlecopters moving in to hopefully take out that tank, which I finally do. Beautiful. happened. It happened, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, so the mech is in position to do nothing. I love it. And he's just keeping his units just like just outside of my mech range too, which is annoying. Good for him, bad for me. I do build some indirects finally. I got an artillery unit sitting up there waiting to go. And see, even with the 80% firepower, well 90% firepower with his comm tower now, he still managed to take out my recon in one shot with that medium tank, which is kind of sad for me. Good for him, sad for me. Yeah, that was a good play too. So he could have attacked like anything on the western front with the anti-air, but he chose to take out the comm tower capture, which also threatens my battlecopter again. So now the battlecopter can't actually threaten the medium tank over there, which is a good play. He's pulling back all his units too, which is very smart because he knows that, you know, there's no sense in pushing that if I'm just going to keep funneling units like directly right there, right? That's one thing you really don't want to do. Even if you have like a lead, if you get put in a position where, you know, you're causing a lot of threat and you're pushing, sometimes it's good just to pull back a little bit, regroup, go in afterwards. Because if you overextend too much, most likely what's going to happen is your opponent's just going to be able to counter you over time. Because it takes so long for you to get those reinforcements. Alright, and pretty much I got nothing. So he's got so much threat all over the map, just tons of mobility. Not too much that's going to be happening here. I think I was just doing a lot of these caps just so he would have something to shoot at. You know, that wasn't my main force, but I mean, like I said, he's got so much mobility, he's just going to shoot at everything on the map anyway, so there's not much you can do about that. But yeah, no, good. I think at this point too, he was running really low on time, so he's doing a lot of very fast movements too. And now the two battlecopters that I have to reinforce the eastern front are threatened by yet another anti-air unit. Two anti-air units, actually. So that's unfortunate. Alright, so getting my artillery units into position here, moving tanks down. And actually the position that I have on the western front is not even really that strong, because there's just a huge looming threat of lots of tanks around and the battlecopter, so that entire front line is going to die. There's not really too much that you can do about that. But the fortunate thing for me is I do have hyper upgrade for one. Yep, losing the comm tower yet again. Sending a lot of his units over just to do chip damage at a bunch of mine, which is always good. Anytime you can get chip damage, you might as well do it. Battlecopters are moving in. Anti-air units, and then bomb. So it says that the match actually ended in a draw, but what actually happened was Lionheart, the Sturm player, actually ran out of time. So that is something that you definitely have to consider when you're playing live matches. Now, I usually set my games up to have like increments of 3 minutes. So As soon as you're done your turn, you'll have an extra 3 minutes to do your turn on top of your initial time, and then 10 minutes overall to finish your turn, or however much time you have left. So that's one thing that people have to definitely take into consideration when it comes to live games. However, like, we can see the state of the map right here. I am at 21 units. He's at 34 units. He's pretty much like just about double my value. So all in all, I can only see this map going on for maybe another, maybe, I don't know, 3 to 5 days ish. And that's only if I struggle a lot. So yeah, that just kind of showcases the mobility of Sturm and a lot of the just sheer power that he's got, especially on a map like this. If I chose a map that was more like open and stuff, like, I might have been able to do a little bit better, but yeah, this map definitely showcases Sturm's power a lot. So, especially from this position right here, because you can just get a unit like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you'd be able to get a unit like here or here right away. Whereas if any other CO would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Would only be able to get it to the city. Over here is really good too because you got a lot of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, you'd be able to plant a unit right there. Plant a unit right here. So even just +1 mobility all over the map is usually super good. But, you know, it didn't work out for old average Andy this time. But that's okay. I had a ton of fun playing. So, if you liked the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And this is actually the very last episode of the Broken Test, so I don't have to do any more. So, while it has been lots of fun, it's also been very difficult on my heart, and I can't take it anymore. Makes me sweat too much. Alright, so with that being said, this has been Mr. Cannon, aka Semi-Original Guy, and I will see you on the next one. Take care. Have a great day, everyone.